Hello there, I'm Nathalia Melo, your unfiltered fit BFF, mom of two turned CEO of a fitness empire. Someone who understands the struggles of trying to stay fit, sane, and sexy, all while juggling work, life, and motherhood. And this is the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. Follow along wherever you're listening and join me weekly as I help busy working moms just like you simplify their fitness journey so they can lose weight, regain their confidence, and feel sexy AF. It's time to stop living in the what ifs and hiding from the cameras. It's time to regain control over your body, feel sexy naked, and wear a bikini confidently. People already see you as a super confident woman, but it's time for you to feel the same way too. Let's go. Hello there. Welcome to another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. I'm Nathalia Melo, your host. And today's going to be a very special one because I have an even more special guest. I can see him rolling his eyes. So what I wanted to do before I introduce who it is, you guys might know who it is. This is the third episode of the podcast, and I wanted to kind of do a little bit of a sequence of my life. So the first episode was talking about the beginning, everything when I was still in Brazil, how I moved to the US. Then the episode number 2 was my competition life. And then episode 3, I decided to invite my husband. Hi.
Hello.
Say hello to the people.
How's it going?
And just FYI, okay, this is a second try at recording this because the first time he was like, I didn't like it. So just so you know, we have, hold on, I'm gonna make the noise so you guys can hear. We have wine to help him loosen up.
Yeah, well, that's because the first time you said it was going to be live and it wasn't.
I didn't say that. I never said that it was live.
You didn't say anything. You're just like, can you come in here a second, do an interview? And I'm like, all right. And you didn't even say anything about it. Like, is it live? Is it on camera? Is it being edited? Whatever.
Where is your free spirit? All right. So this is just a little bit of a teaser of what today's episode is going to be. So what we decided to do for this episode is I'm going to be answering some of the questions that many of you sent on my Instagram when I announced that I was going to be doing this episode. The more soapy ones, like how we met and stuff like that. Roger doesn't really like talking about it. So I'm going to tell the story.
Answering those.
I'll
not be answering those.
You hear him? Anyhow. So I am going to be, telling the story on how we met. And then there are a whole bunch of other cool questions that I want to get to. And I think that it becomes very interactive with you guys answering the questions that you guys want to know instead of us just randomly talking about stuff that we don't even think you guys want to know. So the first question is, how did you meet? Well, I used to live in Fort Lauderdale and Roger played professional rugby at the time he was in England, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. He played professional rugby in England and he was visiting Fort Lauderdale, which that's where I lived. I was bartending and then he walks in and I'm like, ooh, what's up?
No, you didn't.
I did. I thought you were hot, but I was busy. Anyway, so I looked at him and I was like, ooh, hot. What's up? But he didn't talk to me the whole night. I was gutted, devastated. So he left. And then a few weeks later, I get a message. How many, was it 2 or 3 weeks?
It was probably only a week later after we got home.
Was it? So yeah, a week later, I get a message on my Facebook. Okay, but picture this, okay, people? Let's picture this. He sends me a message saying, can I ask you a weird question? All right. I don't know who this person is sending me a message on Facebook. Then I look at the profile picture of the individual and we have a tall guy wearing fishnet stockings, high knee white boots, mini skirt, a fur coat, and a goat mask. And something possessed me to be like, it sounds like a great idea for me to answer this question. And at the time I was doing a lot of magazine work. So from time to time I had creepers on my slide in my DMs. And I'm like, but I don't know. I normally would ignore messages like that, but I just answered.
So why? If
I
you
don't
saw
know.
A goat face, what made you?
I don't know. I just had a feeling.
A feeling by looking at a goat mask.
I just had a feel. I don't know. Like something told me to answer. because I normally would not answer. I don't know. I cannot explain it. So I answered, and then he goes, were you working the top bar at Blue Martini a couple weeks ago or a week ago? I don't remember exactly. And I'm like, oh, shit, it can't be it. And I'm like, were you the guy drinking vodka cranberry, having shots of, what shot? Jameson.
No, it was vodka cranberry.
Yeah, you were drinking vodka cranberry, but you guys did shots as well. And I was like, and you were with a few friends. Like, I literally remember their whole order because I was checking him out. And then he's like, you're such a great bartender. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Did I say that?
Yes, you did. I have receipts. I still have the conversation. And so we started chatting back and forth for about 2.5 years. Oh, not 2.5 years, 2.5, 3 months. And then I was going to Italy to visit my aunt who lives in Italy. And then I told him, I'm like, yo, like, do you want to come hang out? And then he was like, yeah, because he was going to be right after his season ended, which he was all banged up. So he came to Milan, and then we had our first date in Milan. It was so romantic. So romantic. Love you.
Apart from you turning up late.
Oh, yeah. And, that was the important piece. So I was to pick him up in the airport.
No.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I was to pick him up in the airport because I was already there. And mind you, this is going back, like 12 years ago. Okay. And like cell phone services in different countries didn't really, I mean, it's not really something that you would do, like take your phone with you because, back in the day.
Get the excuses in.
But stop it. But it's true. And then I didn't have a way to communicate with him, and I was just fashionably late.
If you didn't have a way to communicate, why on earth would you turn up an hour late?
It was an hour?
Yeah.
I mean, I was just testing you to see if you're ready.
Well, it's slightly risky, isn't it? For someone who's flown across 3 time zones.
Well, but I didn't fly to Milan to see you. I flew to Milan to see my aunt. But I was excited to see you, though. And then there he was waiting for me with his bag. And he didn't get mad that I was late. So I knew he was a keeper. So that's how we meet. And then,
well, in my defense for the goat outfit, it was a Christmas party outfit, so that's why. But I
do you guys dress as a hooker to go to your Christmas party?
It was a good outfit. I've got photos you can share if you want.
Okay, guys, I'm going to be sharing the photo. Let me know whenever you listen to this episode. I'll be sharing this because you'll need to see it. So after that, I went, our second day was in Verona, Italy. And then I went and traveled with my mom somewhere else. And then Roger went on his happy way back to England. And then he sends me a message shortly after that because we stayed in contact. And he told me that he was going to come stay with me in Fort Lauderdale for 3 weeks. And I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, and I even joked with my friends because even my mom coming to stay with me for 2 weeks pushed me to my buttons because I enjoyed being alone. I had been living alone for a long time. And I told my friends, and I'm like, if I don't kill this guy by the end of the second week, I'm marrying him.
You nearly did, didn't you?
Oh my, do you want to tell that nonsense that you pulled in the first week that you, can I tell?
Well, you'd be more fit to tell because I can't remember a thing about it. Okay,
guys, listen to the fuckery that he pulled.
It's not that bad.
Wait, what? The audacity. Yes, it is bad.
So, a test.
Even his dad told me after, he's like, how the hell did you marry him after that? Remember your dad saying that? So he comes to stay with me. He arrives on a Monday. Okay. On Wednesday, I used to work at the bar. So I told him, I'm like, come see me. So I'm working, and then he came see me with a friend, and I kept on giving them drinks and stuff like that. And then he went with his friend to another bar, and I went to pick him up at the other bar so we could go home. I didn't drink at the time because it was right in the middle of my competitive career. So I bartended like sober all the time. And then whenever I got to the bar, my friends worked there and they were like, oh, you're here with the vodka cranberry guy? And I'm like, oh shit, that's not good. So I dragged him home. And he projectile vomited all over my place.
Uh-huh.
And then the next day, he pretended he didn't.
No, I cleaned it up.
After I made you, I had to tell you to clean it up.
Did you?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I am 100%.
I think I was already cleaning it. Well, I was probably still sleeping whenever you told me to, but.
Yeah. So that.
I did clean it up. In fairness, I did clean it up. So.
after I told you to?
Well, like I said, it was a test.
A test. Okay. Alrighty then. So that's kind of how we met. And then we did long distance for 2.5 years. And then I moved to Belfast.
Yeah.
How was it? And I've asked you this a few times, but tell the people. Because you were, I joke around saying that you were probably a manhole before we met.
Probably not far from the truth.
And how was it going from, being a true bachelor to living with somebody whenever I moved to Belfast that, we had been dating for a long time, but we were always in different countries. How was the transition from being on your own or living with your boys to being with a woman in the house?
I don't know. I think it was, I don't remember fully exactly, but it probably had one or two little difficulties, but I don't remember there being anything excruciating about it. Obviously, there's a few issues the first few weeks. We're trying to stamp our mark on which part of the house is a no-go zone for the other person and who gets this out of the wardrobe space and who cooks and who washes up and who does this. And you learn people's bad habits and their good habits pretty quickly.
I'm perfect. What do you mean?
You're a mess. That's what I learned pretty quickly.
Look at this face. It's perfect.
You do not know how to tidy up after yourself.
Rude. Okay. In my defense, okay, I need to see things because if I don't see things, I forget that I have them. And that later I found out that it was because I have ADHD, which I didn't know. So Roger used to judge my pile of things, but
I don't know. I think the thing was you brought, how many boxes did you ship over?
A lot.
It was all just full of absolute crap.
Rude. No, they're not crap. They're my magazines that I was featured on.
Some of them were, but there were also 50 copies of it. So what are you going to do with them?
Memories.
For who?
For our kids.
50 copies.
Just in case. Just in case.
So there's dozens and dozens of boxes just full of nonsense that's never going to come out. Ever.
Oh, that's so
and
rude.
Clothes which you never ever wear.
Well, what if I want to wear one day?
I knew one.
No. Okay, so listen to me. Roger, he buys one t-shirt and then he throws away one t-shirt. He organizes his clothes. Whenever he played, he would organize his clothes the night before and fold them in the order which he would put it on.
Well,
with the car keys on top, so he wouldn't forget. Because you're going to forget.
All right, well, how many times have you run around the house before you go out and say, where's my car keys? I can't find my phone. And then you can't decide what to wear that morning. And then it wastes 30 minutes. So.
Well, you got a point.
There's a method to my madness.
But
I'm a bit OCD, though, I'd admit.
But so, Roger and I are the complete opposite. He's very everything needs to be planned and you need to sit down and analyze all the possibilities. And I'm like, let's go. We'll figure it out as we go. Oh, it's funny. Anyway. Okay. So let's just start with some of the questions now. Did I finish this story?
Well, yeah, that was the last question.
Oh yeah. No.
The question you asked was about what it was like whenever you moved over.
Oh yeah.
Which
I think I'm a joy.
What?
I think I'm a joy to be around. I'm so happy all the time.
I can't remember. Well, you did. I can't remember. You crashed the car within the first couple of days.
No, but that was before I moved. So I did crash Roger's car. In my defense, okay? There's
always a defense, isn't there?
I had never driven. Okay, so I had not driven a stick shift car since I was 19, okay? 18 maybe. And then I go to the UK and they drive on the other side of the road and on the other side of the car. And I had never in my whole entire life driven on the left side of the road. It's different from in the US. So Roger looks at me. He's like, it's short. It's just 5 minutes. And I'm like, I don't know. I can do it. And he's like, oh, you're going to be good. You're going to be grand. You're going to be grand. So,
and it was actually, the thing about it is I was literally driving in front of you and all you needed to do was follow me. And I was driving 30 mile an hour the whole way home for 5 miles.
You were driving in front of me, you were not driving with me, and I still had to focus.
Yeah, all you need to do was just sit behind me at 30 miles an hour and not hit anything.
But I couldn't, because I had to change the shifts as well, which was hard. And on the right side of the wrong side of the road, and on the wrong side of the car. You had too much high expectations. So yeah, I crashed the car. So we got to our destination, and he was missing a wing mirror.
Changing the gears had nothing to do with how you crashed as well. Like,
it does, because I have
you don't need to look down at the gear stick every time you change it.
I do it because it's a different direction. If you're on one side of the car, on the other side of the car. Anyway, it was very difficult. And we got home and I was missing a wing mirror. He was not impressed. Let's just put it that way. Not impressed. That was, I think, the first time I saw him feeling very salty. And that was kind of the time that I met his parents. That was an experience. Anyhow, moving on. First question. Now we're going to start with like the questions that you guys submitted. What did he think about you when you first met?
Well,
be nice. That's my show.
Well, it's not. I mean, whenever we first met, strictly speaking, wasn't in the bar that you're working in the night in Fort Lauderdale, because we never got speaking. You're so angry looking.
I was what?
Angry looking.
Was I?
Yeah, incredibly.
Didn't you come back to say hello and I was shouting at somebody?
Well, yeah, I at the end of the night, I'd stayed around to say hello, and then you just started screaming at some guy. So I was like, no, fuck that. I'm out of here. So,
it sounds so true. It is.
But we didn't, no, so we didn't meet that night, really. It was only after my Facebook stalking and interaction after that, then the trip to Italy. That was the first time. So we had a dinner together.
But we talked a lot, though, before.
I know, but that's not meeting, is it?
Yeah, true.
It was the first time we met properly, was in
Milan
for a night, yeah. What did I think? I have no idea what I thought. Can't remember. I know we had dinner. We went to get an ice cream after. We didn't kill each other, and we met the next day, so it's probably positive.
That's a very low bar. We had dinner, we had ice cream, and we didn't kill each other. Crap, is that how I won? Hashtag winner.
I can't remember. It was so long ago.
Did you have a good time? Did you like the chat?
What? Yeah. Your chat.
Huh?
Yes. I did. It was a good night from what I can remember, but yeah.
Okay.
It was uneventful, but no, that actually sounds bad. It wasn't.
It does sound
it was a nice night, but there's nothing sticks out as being like, oh, she's weird because of this, or she's.
How was Verona? Because in Verona we spend more time, like we literally spent the whole day together.
Yeah, the next day we went to Verona and did all the sightseeing stuff, and yeah, it was good. It was a good time. I honestly can't remember.
I think you were annoyed that I took photos all the time. I could tell that.
No, not at that stage.
No.
It really pisses me off now, but not back then.
You see, okay, if you are single and you're listening to this is the bullshit you have to put up with, okay? My photo and like selfies and stuff like that was cute when we first met. And now if I try to take photos. That's the same
for every couple, isn't it? At the start, you just put up with everything, all the rubbish, and then.
All the rubbish. That's what 12 years together looks like, guys.
But yeah, no, I think Verona, we did all sightseeing stuff, and then and then we drove back to Milan, which is about 2-hour drive, is it?
Yeah, and you complained the whole time.
No, you fell asleep the whole time.
I was resting my eyes.
And you snored the whole way as well.
I was testing you.
Yeah.
I didn't snore. I don't snore.
You snore badly.
Oh, that's such a lie. You're telling lies about me in my show.
That's true.
Okay. So you thought that I was a joy.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
What does he do to support your fitness? I'm gonna let you answer that, and then I'll chip in. What do you do to support my fitness?
Support your fitness?
Yeah.
To support your training? Just specifically your training regime?
I think it would be like my training and my business as well. A combination of both.
Well, more your fitness. I don't know. Like I quickly realized after we met that wherever you go to from day one, that you don't go anywhere before going to the gym first. And that's whether that be, I think it was even those few days we met in Italy, or whenever I came over to Fort Lauderdale a few weeks later, or whenever you came to first time to come to Belfast, that everywhere you went, you had to work out first, which is fine. At the start, it was like, oh, fuck, come on, can you not do with one morning without a workout, But then I just realized you were like, you'd be a miserable bitch for not working out.
Ruda.
That's your own words.
Ruda. But yes, I
So
do get very
anyway, like
salty.
so, and then whenever we go on holiday or travel or whatever, the first thing that you have to look for, not the first, but like if you put in your filter in the hotel search, it has to be gym, because if it's not a gym, you'll just
It just makes life difficult. I enjoy training, and I feel like I'm
No, I agree. Like I'm not having a go. I'm just saying this is something that I quickly understood that would be important to help your fitness, is making sure that you get a workout in every morning.
Yeah, and I think like you're making it
And
sound
that's
like I'm
every
crazy.
morning, not like 9 times out of 10. That's
But
364 days out
no,
of
I got
the
better
year.
though.
I'm not saying I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
No, but I did get better. I think that when I was competing it was a lot worse. Like when I was competing, that I would spend a lot of time in the gym. Now I feel like I'm a bit more open-minded and flexible. I still go very consistently to the gym, and I still prioritize having a gym if we travel somewhere. But you wouldn't be like, I need like a 2-hour workout every single day.
Uh, well, I think at the start it was more like you were in there for probably 3 hours, I would say, whenever I first met you.
Yeah, because it
Because
was
you were
when I was
competing
competing.
and stuff, yeah. And then you would go twice, maybe a day, or a lot of days anyway, at least. So you would go back in the afternoon, which is fine, because I was over there anyway, and with you in America for 3 weeks, and it's like, what else am I going to do? Sit around and sunbathe and stuff. So it didn't really bother me. I don't know other ways to support you. Like, just
I
we
do.
don't really. Well, it might be another question, but we don't work out together, do we? Very
No,
rarely.
no, we would go to the gym together, but I think that, like from my eyes, I think you understand how much training is important to me. Although you did make it sound like I'm like crazy obsessed, but I'm not. I just prioritize.
You were at the start, like,
Yeah,
but not as. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with being obsessed with it, but it's making sure that everyone can fit the time in to do it.
yeah.
It's
And
just part of the day. It's fine. I mean,
yeah, I feel like it gives me a lot of structure to my day, and I can see the transition that's been from when I competed to now. But I do have to say that one thing that you're very proactive with understanding my needs. I remember after I think I had Nico, and it was like on the 6 weeks mark, and you knew that I was starting to get a bit anxious about. And it wasn't so much about the training, it's about having some kind of routine and structure. And it was kind of like the first day that I was allowed to have some kind of movement inside a gym. You were like, go to the gym. I'll watch him. Like you actually told me to go to the gym, and I'll never forget that. So I really appreciate the proactiveness and understanding what was like, what made me happy.
yeah. Well, the bottom line is, if she doesn't go to the gym, she's a bit mad. Better for me to let her go to the gym.
So rude. Let's go to the other question. How do the different cultures work in parenting? And I think we can probably even like marriage. That's another question that somebody sent. How do the different cultures work in parenting?
Parenting? Ooh, I think our culture specifically, I think, the British or Irish, or even, well, a lot of the European culture. See, the thing is, like, I never grew up in Brazil. I don't really know exactly how it was, but I think they're a bit more. I know the Latin culture is like very family orientated and stuff, but they're maybe a bit more laid back in terms of like they let the kids get on with things, and the parents kind of socialize and do what they want around that. Whereas sometimes in like European culture, they can be a bit over the top, like focusing on the kids too much. But I think again, it depends on also what environment you grew up in yourself. You can't just make that mainstream comment that that's the way it works for every culture, but I think it depends on the way you grew up yourself as well. So our parenting would come from the way we were parented.
Yeah.
Which I think for probably most parents, whenever, they have a first child, sure, everyone has problems or difficulties, I'm sure there's issues for the first at least few years. And I think the main thing about that is that
what do you mean by issues?
Differences in opinions on what you should do, the way you should parent kids, the way you should discipline them, the way you should interact with them, the amount of time you should, whatever it is. But the main thing is that no matter what culture you come from, I think you got to make sure you're explaining why you do that, why it's important to you. Just communicate, because if you don't do that, then you kind of just assume that the other person knows what you're talking about, or knows what you're kind of feeling.
Yeah, I would agree with what you say. I feel like, for example, the Latino culture is much more the kids adapting to the adults' agenda. Like, for example, like you mentioned, like I remember as a kid, being in a restaurant with my mom and stepdad until 11 o'clock at night, midnight, like sleeping on the chairs in a restaurant and that wasn't the only one. It was just a whole bunch of other. So I never really had a strict schedule. It was always around the schedule of my parents and what they were doing at that given time. And I find that for you, your side of the family, like the culture standpoint, is more, a lot of the activities are more centered around the kids. Like if you choose an activity, a lot of times it's going to be more kid centric. And it's a lot more structured with a schedule and time for bed and time to wake up and very regimented, which I personally like, because I think that I would probably have done a lot better in school and things like that had I had that kind of structure growing up.
Very serious answer.
It is though.
Yeah. But I think as well, then you look at the different cultures and the parents, and then the way that kind of, you hand that down to the kids as well, because, you know, you being Latin, like your culture is that you're very impatient and you have to do everything there and then. And, you know, I am like more slower and take your time and, you know, we'll see how it goes sort of thing. And then a lot of times that you got to relate that to the kids as well, because they'll adopt certain traits and that as well. So
Nico is you. It takes him like 15 minutes to put his shoes on after you ask like 7 times. And he's like, I'm doing it. Calm down. And I'm like,
yeah, but they're the things you got to navigate through and you got to understand that he's like that because
of you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny because Chloe is just like me, like personality wise. She's like very sassy. Yeah, and like very impatient. She asked once, asked twice. The third time she's screaming and dragging you to get whatever it is that she asked.
Yeah, she's quite scary.
Quite scary. And then Nico is like this very methodical little human being that is like copy and paste of Roger. Is quite funny. Do you train him or give him advice? Do you train together? I give him advice, but he doesn't take it because I'm his wife.
Is this for training advice?
Yeah. No, you don't take advice from me? I can say something and then you
I don't think you don't know what you've done. Training advice? Have you ever given me training advice?
No, like more on the nutrition side. I think you've asked me though for things like questions.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. There's a lot of different parts of this question, but do we train together? Not really. We train together a few times. Sometimes whenever we go on holiday or vacation.
Yeah.
We train together. We sort of have a different training regime. Like,
yeah, he can't keep up with mine though.
No, I can't keep up with all the photos that you want to take during it. That's the thing.
So rude. I don't take photos in the gym. You stop lying. I don't. Do I take photos in the gym?
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Sometimes you ask me to take a video, but not so much anymore. Yeah. But the times that we do train together, it does get a bit competitive.
It does. But then I can keep up because Roger's like 6'4", 230 pounds. And I'm like over here, 5'5", 122 pounds. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to keep up. And I nearly die. Doesn't normally work out.
Yeah. You can tell there's a bit of tension in the air.
And just FYI, like about him giving Roger advice. I don't think that he needs a lot of my advice when it comes to training because Roger was a professional athlete for 15 years and he's just not a pretty face. He's very smart. He has a master's degree in strength conditioning technology. Is that it?
Technology?
Isn't it? I don't know what it is. What is it?
How would you limit me to such a title?
What is your master's degree?
It's in performance science. Yeah, so essentially, yeah. Just say I'm a genius.
Well, he is very smart when he wants to.
I have forgotten it, probably, most of it.
You know what is the thing that he's like very good at? Any capital of any part of the world, any state, anything, he'll be able to tell you. Uh-huh. And flags, he can recognize all the flags. And he's very worldly. Is that how you say it?
No.
How do you say it? Language barrier. Correct my English. I'm Brazilian, so.
Geographically smart.
Oh my God. Anyway.
I do like flags.
Yeah, you're
geeky, but
yeah, but and you your main degree, your bachelor's is in what? Can you tell the peoples?
Geography.
Okay.
Actually, I didn't know what to do whenever I finished school. I just picked one of the subjects.
Because Graham is dad. Graham was very, very, like probably the smartest man I've ever met in my life. And he was not just like wannabe smart. He was like legitimately, he knew more about Brazil than I did. And he was all the way in Northern Ireland. He was so smart. So Graham was like, you're not going to play rugby without a degree.
Yeah.
So next question is, how does he like the US compared to Northern Ireland?
Me? How do I like it? You got to be careful because Northern Ireland's always going to be where your home is. So you don't want to, you got to remember that. The one big difference, obviously, the main reason why we moved here was because to get better weather, like sunshine. You can't really put a price on that. I mean, even at the moment, I know today was pretty miserable for us, but we're kind of sunbathing last weekend and it's middle of November.
Yeah.
So this time of year back home in Belfast, you'd be frigging putting on about 20 layers and kids would be snotters everywhere every time you go outside. So
well,
it's just,
when Nico did go outside, he's like, "Too cold. I want to go out."
So yeah, in terms of that, like just having a more of an outdoors life, which I enjoy, that's the main thing. There's so many different things you kind of have to, it takes time to acclimatize to, I guess, over the years. But I mean, the people are great in Texas, don't get me wrong, but there'll never be people like the people that you grew up with, because I think you're very familiar with that. Now, you'd actually probably disagree with what you came from in Brazil, I think.
Yeah.
But I think from what I grew up with, at least until we moved, they're the people you're familiar with. Food-wise, you can get whatever you want to eat out here. The one thing I miss back home is the Irish sausages.
He's gone to so many butchers here trying to get it, and every time he's just like, not up to my standards. Roger is a food snob.
I'm not a food
You
snob.
are a food snob?
Sausage snob.
And a steak snob? You... Oh, I'm dead. The sausage snob. Can we get a t-shirt? Oh, I'm dead.
What were you saying about steaks?
You are a steak snob. But with that being said, it's because you cook a very good steak. So whenever we go to a steakhouse, it's kind of like you're a bit of a snob. And his mom is a chef. So like she cooks very, very good food. And so I never even tried to match to that because I competed. So I've eaten frozen potatoes and frozen tilapia out of a Ziploc bag. So my standards are quite low.
I think the question was, how do you like it compared to Northern Ireland? Like the main thing, I touched on was just the standard of living, really. And that's, I mean, the weather is one side of it. And the other is obviously, from my point of view, we moved out here whenever I just finished playing rugby for like quite a long time, 15 years, which is, pretty much the first third of your working life, really. So to kind of transition into different career, like a totally different career path, there's no better place to do it out in America, where, the strongest economy in the world and all that. And I think if I was to stay back in Northern Ireland, no doubt that I would have found success in something, but the opportunities out in America are just a lot more than you would get.
People in Northern Ireland will be very salty if you keep on saying Ireland.
Northern Ireland, okay. Yeah, so that was and on that, it's the one thing I do like out here is that people aren't afraid to work hard. That's something that you probably miss a little bit back. It's a big difference I see anyway compared to back in Northern Ireland. Not specifically Northern Ireland, but the UK probably is a little extra incentive to work. Not an incentive, but a lack of incentive with the kind of for not working hard, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So which both of us are not shy of doing a bit of hard work.
Yeah. I think that the weather would be the main thing, like for me, especially. And I will never in my life understand whenever I got to Ireland. I'm going to put this out there. I don't like walking. Roger makes fun of me and he says that I'm like the fittest person that he knows, because I do not like just walking to walk. I don't understand the concept of it.
If we're going to the gym together or whatever, and I don't park in a parking space 10 yards closer to the entrance, she'll freak out. Like,
why? There is a spot that is closer. I will drive around the parking lot in the gym for like 5 minutes to find the closest spot in the gym. Then I'll go upstairs and I'll walk on the treadmill. Judge me. Anyhow, I am not a fan. I will walk like if I have to reach my step count for the day. I'll like if I have a reason to be walking, but I'll never understand when I got to Ireland and it's like, let's go for a walk. And you look outside, it's cold, it's wet, it's miserable, it's muddy. I'm like, why? Why though? Like, no, I do not want to go outside for a walk. They're like, it's nice, get some fresh air. And I'm like, fresh air. And then you come back and you're like soaking cold. You cannot
Well,
feel your
it's because
fingers.
there's nothing else to do.
Oh no, like I will never comprehend. Yeah, let's go for a walk in the mountains. And it's like raining and it's dark at 3 p.m. when it's winter. And it's like, yeah, let's go for a walk. Such nice fresh air.
Well, like in
That
fairness,
drove
like
me.
it is nice. It's a nicer place to look at visually than where we are currently in Dallas. So, like, I mean, it is
It's
nice to
nice
walk
in-
in a place where there's good scenery.
No, because it's cold. I don't like
Well,
cold.
put a jacket on,
No, it's cold. I don't like it.
put thermals on,
No,
gloves.
it's
hat.
wet. No, I will stay home. And Nico is the same as me. He will step outside. He's like, nope, I will stay home. And I'm like, good, I'll stay with you. Gotta stay, guys, because he wants to stay home. So me and Nico are like right there with each other. Yeah, I think that the weather would be the main thing, but I've made, I think that my best friends that I still talk to this day, every single day. They're from Northern Ireland. Still talk to Stephanie and Geraldine every single day.
Yeah.
Hi, girls. If you're listening, love you. Okay, next question. How do you balance schedules from work, working out, kids, and time together?
It's just about communicating a routine, really. I think every parent or couple goes through it. You know, depending on what work you do or your other commitments, you got to make a routine. Otherwise, you're kind of, if you don't make it black and white and you don't put on, like we literally almost put on paper, like this is what I have to do this week. We have a calendar for the month. So if we have an appointment or whatever, we know what is there and we have to work around. So unless you know what the other person's schedule is, you can't really plan. So kind of a bit of a boring answer, but it just comes down to communication.
We've had this conversation before. I also think that a lot of women, they expect men, and I've made that mistake as well, and they expect the men to guess where they need help with. And if they're feeling overwhelmed with work, stop reading the questions. No.
I thought I got the question wrong. Well, I completely answered the wrong question.
No, he's cheating. I think that a lot of women especially make the mistake of assuming that the man is going to just guess that she's busy at work or that she has all these things. And again, from working with moms, I noticed that they treat their husbands like they're disabled or mentally incapable of doing anything with their children. And I think that that's one thing that from very early on, you've been very involved and very hands-on. You know, like whenever Chloe was 6 months. So we had Chloe who was 6 months and then Nico who was whatever, like not even two yet. He was like just under 1.5. I had to go to Germany for a week. And then I told people that you were the one watching the kids and they're like, oh my God, like you're going to kill them. So I think that the communication to tell where you're needing help, again, not parenting advice, like not parent advice. That's not what I do. And not marriage advice because that's not what we do. But that's just kind of what has worked for us. It's just communicating and voicing where it is that you're struggling with. And obviously it hasn't been smooth sailing all the time. But I think that just understanding that you made the kid with another person and voicing your needs and where you need help. Would that be like a fair, because you probably have seen that with some friends as well, that you just see the woman taking on everything and the man feeling a bit left out. Have you seen that? The man feeling a bit left out because he doesn't know how to help?
Not so, I mean, nowadays, not so much. I mean, I think the generation that we live in and most, not all, but, most our dads would be a lot more hands-on than they would a generation or two ago. That's probably for the reasons that, things have changed with, women are more in work and men's work is a bit more flexible and just the workforce has changed a little bit. But I think regardless of that, like it comes back to the point that no matter where you are in your life in terms of your work, you got to figure out a routine with your partner or wife or whatever, on that, because I know whenever I was playing rugby, half the working week was downtime, albeit you had to rest and you're told to rest. But the night before a game, for example, would have been a night where I wouldn't want to do anything with a newborn.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe the night after the game, where you're awake with adrenaline and all that, you could almost do the whole night yourself. So it's just kind of those little things is you just got to kind of come to a plan together with the two of you. And then that was whenever the kids were young. But now, like for us, Chloe and Nicola, they're 5 and 6 and they're starting to do sports and stuff. And it seems like all of our evenings are taken up by
being chauffeurs,
chauffeuring them to different sports. As a 5 and 6 year old, which is ridiculous. It's going to get way worse. So it's, and then, there'll be days where you have important meetings or calls, whatever, on late afternoon. There's days where I would. So it's just kind of the start of a week or start of a month, just going, this is what I have lined up. Let's work it out. So it's communication.
Yeah. And asking for help. I remember very vividly. And again, we've talked about this, so I'm probably repeating myself to you, but people don't know. I remember whenever Nico was very young and I literally wanted to do everything. I wouldn't let, I wanted to tell Roger how to do everything. And I freaked out about everything that he did his way. And then one day he just stopped and then he was like, well, he's my child too. Do you think I want to harm him? Let me figure out myself. And I think that was probably the biggest come to Jesus moment that I had, and realizing, well, he has a point. And it turns out that a lot of the things that you do are, I'm going to regret saying this, FYI, but a lot of the things that you do, it's better than how I wanted you to do at first. Especially with Nico, they were a lot more patient navigating with him. So yeah. Okay. Next question. How to balance relationships and kids, keep their love and romance alive. Roger, the most romantic person on the planet.
Yeah, I'm not very good at romance, but yeah, one thing that we do is we, at least probably once a month, is to try and get out together on a date night or whatever you want to call it, and just have some time away from the kids, because we make an effort of every night having dinner together as a family, which I think is great, and I think it's going to be beneficial to the kids in the long run, all of us in the long run. But there's times during that where you're tearing your hair out, and you're because the kid, a lot of times they're, they'll be tired or annoyed about something, and it's just the most miserable 45 minutes or whatever of your life, and all the questions, it's just miserable. But and you can't really get speaking as a couple, as parents, you can't really have a conversation, because there's always can I go to the toilet, or can I have milk, or can I have water, or can I have this and that, or my food's too cold, or
food's too hot, can I have cheese, can I have ketchup?
It's just the most, so anyway, it's difficult to have an adult conversation. So that's why kind of once a month at least we try to get away and just do a night out together, where go to a restaurant and just have all the background noise out of it.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, we are here in Texas without any family help. Literally was Roger and I moving here with a 9-month-old and a 1.5-year-old, and just trying to figure out as we went along. And obviously, we don't want to leave our children with just anybody, but I do think that date night and finding somebody that you trust so you can connect as a couple is incredibly important, because that's for me. I think that our marriage comes before our kids, because ultimately, if we have a shady marriage and we cannot stand each other, that is by default going to impact our kids.
Yeah.
So making sure that we are on the same page and that we are a good couple. And again, this is beautiful and easier said than done. Whenever you have kids, whenever you work, whenever you're busy all the time, and whenever you've been together for so long, easier said than done. But I think that going the extra mile and making the effort to make sure that you make time to get dressed up and get out of sweatpants and gym clothes and stuff like that and looking nice. Would you agree?
No, yeah, it has to be done. I think a lot of people probably don't have trust issues with getting babysitters or childminders or whatever you want to call them, but it's not for us to say, it's their, but I think for us, whenever we first moved over, the first week we had in Texas, we had an Airbnb for a week in Frisco, and we had to do everything from looking for a rental, because it was only an Airbnb for 4 weeks. We had to look for a rental property, we had to look for cars, open bank accounts, get cell phones, get everything. So we
buy our cars.
You can't, and this is in the middle of the summertime. It was
115, I think.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. And the kid, Chloe was 7 months old, and it was just 9 months old. Yeah. It was the most miserable time ever. So we just we signed up with this agency, babysitting agency, College Nannies, I think it was called. And they did all the background checks on them and everything. It was a reputable company, but we just needed a few hours every couple of days just to go out and do some admin stuff. And I remember we came back.
Subpar.
We came back, and the girl, she was a 18, 19-year-old, and came back, and she didn't know how to change the kids' diaper, like, and the kids shit themselves, and they were like stuck in.
Yeah, it was an underwhelming experience. So I can totally understand with like not trusting to leave your kids with somebody else. So basically what we did after that is, I found a couple people, and what I would do is like I would do work from home, and then they would watch the kids while I was doing work at home, so we could build that trust. And then I was there, and then I would also watch how the kids responded to the person that was coming watch them. So that's kind of how we found, and it's not to say that we always had like great experience like the one that Roger mentioned, but it's kind of like we need to make the time for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also do date nights at home too. Sometimes we put the kids early to bed, and then we do a date night outside. You cook steak and you seduce me with wine, and then you cook and do the dishes. It's so sexy.
If I cook, you're doing the dishes?
Oh yeah, true. If he cooks, I do the dishes, and if I cook, he does the dishes. That's the agreement that we have. Either way, you look very sexy on the barbecue cooking me ribeye steak. And that was actually one of the questions from the people asking for the ribeye steak recipe, because I always post you cooking the ribeye. Each other's favorite attribute, both physical and non-physical.
What can we say here?
Let's keep it PG.
Slap in the face.
Let's keep it PG, please and thank you.
It's a bit boring.
Oh my God.
If I say something, you're going to go, what about this?
No, I won't.
Okay, I'll start with non-physical. That's likely to get a less psychopathic response.
Oh, rude.
Favorite attribute, non-physical, would be... I'll name 3. I'm not going to do 1. All right. Non-physical would be your ambition to work for your business and be successful at that. Also, your... why would you give such a difficult question? I feel like my life depends on this. But it's going to lead to a...
Oh, let's go. Just stop thinking too much.
Give me one. I give you one there. Like,
I think that for me, for you, would be the non-physical would be your patience. Although it drives me crazy sometimes, but I think that your patience with with the kids and with helping me trust the process. Because I remember even whenever we were applying for my visa to move to the UK, I literally freaked out every other week because it was a lengthy and very cumbersome process. And I wanted to throw in the towel every other week because I would panic. And then you just remain calm and patient and kind of like, and I have learned a lot from you with that. So I think that the patience and like ability to trust the process would be a big one. And physical attributes, please keep it PG. For me, for you, is I like the blue eyes. The blue eyes are a bonus. And like, I never like, even though like how I've been, and I've told you this before, like being in the fitness industry, no offense if you are a man in the fitness industry listening to this, but y'all bore women out of their skull. Like talking about holding water and, like what your progress pictures look like. Women don't want to look at that. I can tell you that right now. So like the bigger than life, obsessed with the 6-pack kind of stuff, from the fitness industry bored me. And I liked that you were like an athletic looking guy, tall, but you weren't a dick about it. Like in very like manly. Roger, like when we first met, he didn't know the difference. Probably still doesn't. The difference between manicure and pedicure. I told him that I was going to get a manicure, and he's like, "Is that the one that they do stuff with your toes?" I'm like, "Oh, he's a keeper."
Yeah. If you're waiting for me to say something like your eyes, I'm not saying that's far too cheesy.
No, I would never expect that from you.
Right.
Like, come on, we've been together for 12 years.
Eyelashes.
Oh, I wish this was being recorded. Like, honestly. All right, I'll take the eyelashes as a as the
eyebrows. Sorry,
the eyebrows. They're microbladed.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm dead. Are you? And I think that this question we've probably answered throughout the experience here. Are we more of like a blunt, like straight to the point kind of couple, or a more emotional driven kind of couple?
A bit of both. You're definitely more emotional.
I find that I'm super rational.
No.
Rude.
No, you're very extremely irrational.
Rude. I feel attacked.
But that's being a female. Sorry, women. But then
He's not sorry.
You're also very blunt, straight to the point. So yeah, and whereas I think I'd be lack emotion, but I probably
You dance around the problem.
yeah. It depends who you're speaking to for me, but you'd probably be blunt to everyone. But I'd be blunt to certain people or certain.
I just don't like small talk. Small talk kills me. I honestly don't want to talk about like the weather. I don't want to talk about like small talk. It's absolutely the destruction of my soul. And that was one of the things that I found very hard when I bartended. No, it's not. It's like, I want to have like meaningful conversations. I don't want to just be talking about the weather, like elevator conversation. Oh, it's so cold today. Yeah, the rain. Like what? Like, tell me about your feelings. No, it's not exciting. Tell me about your vacation, what you did, why you wanted to go home, why you guys got in an argument. Like, I need the receipts, I need the details, I need like all of it.
It's all about building a rapport with someone.
No, the small talk kills me. So I think that's kind of probably would be the biggest difference. And it's funny because Roger is he would be very reserved and more quiet. I joke saying that I'm the PR of the family. Because sometimes Roger can walk into a room and out of the room and like nobody will hear his voice because he's very quiet. Me, on the other hand, talk for me and him. But people love chatting to you. It's crazy. You're so quiet and people love talking to you.
Mysterious.
It is mysterious. I think it's the blue eyes.
Oh, God.
All right, guys. So this was the last question. Did you have fun? Was it better than the first one?
Oh, yeah, because at least you knew what was happening. You just like the last one, you're like, come here, I need to ask you a few questions. And then bang.
I had a great time. And we had a whole glass of wine. So it was even better. And then Rio came to join. Rio is our dog. He came to join us. Anyway, well, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hopefully, I'll get this guy to come here again to talk about, maybe next time we can talk more about his professional career, the challenges and things like that, and be more, not so much a couple conversation, but more on his wheelhouse kind of field of expertise kind of conversation, because I feel that that's also what he's more comfortable talking about. But I would love to have you back to talk about serious stuff, not couples and stuff, because I know that you would enjoy that. And I think that the peoples would enjoy that as well. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in episode 4. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. But let me ask you, what was your aha moment in today's episode? I would love to know. You can leave me a comment or voice message at the link in the show description. You can also follow me on Instagram and let me know what topics you want to hear more about or who I should have on the show. As for today, this is it for today, guys. I'll see you back next week for another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast.